guys and girls. Welcome to episode 96 of the FReality Podcast. This is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show, live streamed every Saturday on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. You can tune into the show live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, and 12 midday in Central US. You can also check out the audio version, which is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and on Anchor. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe to our YouTube channel or leave us a nice review on iTunes, because that would really help us out. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback during the show, please put them in the chat. We'll try and answer as many questions during the show as we can. Hope all of you friends out there, VR friends stateside, had a very happy 4th of July, by the way. But now it's time for me to introduce you to the team. Finally, we were able to bail this loose cannon out of a Dutch prison. He's the untamable VR animal. It's, of course, SimTalk5. How are you?
I'm good, Mike. I'm good. Yeah, they let me forage around their countryside and all that, and it was good. It was just notably flat. It's a very, very flat country. I'm a guy who likes mountains, so it was a bit odd going over with the plane and being like, wow, tiniest 5-foot wave in this country's gone. It's like, other than that, it was a nice visit. We had lovely weather. Like when you come from Scotland and out at night at midnight, it was 25 degrees C out on the streets, and during the day it was 33, 34. It was proper vacation. It was nice.
Yeah,
so.
They have that there throughout the entire year, right, Nathie?
Yeah,
25 degrees.
Totally. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, you look at Nathie, it's just that lovely tan, right from head to toe.
12 o'clock at night is way past my bedtime. Next up, is he friend or foe? Is he a team player or is he a traitor? You can never be sure in Terrorist Town. He's our 360 no-scoper. It's, of course, Rowdy guy. How you doing, dude? You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. I just don't know where you got the 360 no-scope from, because that's sure as hell isn't me.
I was trying to big you up.
Oh, damn it. I should have gone with it.
Yeah. But you're all right?
I'm all right. I'm doing fantastic. We have had indeed some nice weather over here, so it's always nice to go out and enjoy that for a little while. Not always get stuck to a screen or a VR headset in my case, but yeah, it's been good. It's been very good.
Nice. What people don't realize is that from the waist down, we're all naked, submerged in little bowls of water to keep us cool, because it is so freaking warm right now.
Should I stand?
Don't.
No.
Whoa.
Instant demonetization. We'll get banned from YouTube. Yeah. So, next up, he's going to be soon jetting off stateside to preach VR to the masses. It's the Oracle of the Oasis. It's, of course, Nathie. How you doing, dude? You all right?
Yes. And we're soon celebrating our anniversary too, right?
Yeah, we're only a few episodes away now. 100 episodes of this fine podcast. That's an amazing feat, actually.
It's crazy. Maybe it's a good time to,
Well, this is the thing. I don't think we've actually missed an episode since we started, right? We've always been consistent. Never. I know some of us have dropped in and out occasionally, but we've never actually missed an episode. So we're like the milkman. We always deliver.
Yeah, we're doing pretty well, right?
That's not where the only comparison is.
Wow.
Right. Well, if you're new here and you don't know who I am, my name's Mike. I'm the host of the show from Virtual Reality Oasis. We've got a packed show for you today. We've got some fresh VR news about a free Orbus Reborn demo. Kind of interesting. We'll give you our picks from the Oculus Summer Sale. There's a next-gen Gran Turismo game coming for PSVR. Zim's back to give you the details on the latest releases to look forward to next week. And finally, this is where it gets really juicy. We're going to be talking about the Valve Index and some of the issues with those fancy new controllers. But of course, first up, let's find out what everyone's been up to this week and their highlight of the week. And first up is, of course, Zim.
Oh, I love going first. It's really a privilege. I have to give a complete shout out to Chris Madsen, known as Deep Rifter, who gave me a heads up after one of our shows recently and said, Zim, I think you'd really like the Morrigan. And I was like, the what again? The Morrigan. And now I want more of the Morrigan because I've played it. It's a game that fuses probably 5 or 6 other successful VR games together with remember when you first played Contractors and you're like, oh, feckin' hell, the lighting is great. And then, you played something like, I'm trying to think, Nathie pinged me a tweet this week of it, not not the Emberstone one, but the gallery, like the first gallery. It brings all these elements together in a package that, and for 10 quid is what it's selling for right now on Oculus Home. The Morrigan is like this action RPG where when you kill a bad guy, and this is one of the things I love like the best, you can pick up his weapon and stick it in your bag, like Diablo style, and just like, you've got that weapon now. And the same thing for all the other bits of the game. You can take everything you think you should just be able to do. The game doesn't like hold you by the hand and like treat you like a baby. It just throws you in the game and you just play away, and it looks gorgeous. And the animations of even just characters walking around, like the big comment that I got in chat was, if only Orbus was this good. You know, it's like it's absolutely, it's a single player game, right? So you can't play multiplayer. So there's it's Achilles' heel. But aside from that, it's one of the top scoring games in my ratings this week. So that for me was like the icing on the cake of this week. And I have to just in passing mention one other game that I didn't know about, and what Nathie probably played this ages ago. There's a game called Drift where you play as a bullet, and it's literally, there's no controls other than just pushing a button, but you move your head around, and holy cow, if you want a hard-ass game, that is, like you have to, in 360, move your head and snake between objects that are coming at you as fast as like a slow time bullet, and it looks like super hot. Game's amazing. So those are the two games from this week I have to say that for me are must-buys. So the Morrigan, which is spelled M-O-R-R-I-G-A-N. I don't know yet what a Morrigan is, but it's probably a bad dude. And then Drift, which is the bullet game where you play life as a bullet, and it's hard. It's really hard.
With the Drift game, did you play that on Oculus Go? Because that's when I played it.
No, it just released, so I played it on Rift S, and with that screen, it looks great. It's like it almost like you see no screen door while you're playing that game because it's like super hot, right? It's got that kind of lovely shading effect. Awesome.
Yeah, I remember playing it on the Oculus Go when the Go first came out. It's been out for a little while.
That seems perfect because tetherless then, because I would love to have it tetherless. Yeah, okay, cool. Because we were all begging. We're like, this got to come to Quest. It's a really cool game. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. And interestingly, the Morrigan is kind of been on my watch list for a little while. It's kind of a game that I think is under a lot of people's radar, but has been getting a lot of positive reviews, particularly on the Oculus subreddit and on the actual store page itself. And a lot of people were saying, like, you know, the lighting in particular is really great, and the RPG elements are really good. The only criticism I have heard, and I don't know if you finished it yet, Zim?
Not finished it yet. I think I'm 2 levels away from the end. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not quite a complete package in that the game isn't 100% finished yet. So yeah. I think that because it's in early access, right?
Yeah, it just so one of the things I noticed was when you're in town, like you can buy weapons, but you can't buy potions yet, and it has this little placard that's like says in development. So it's not doesn't really break it. It doesn't feel like it's missing, but it shows you what's kind of to come. And even if the game at the length that it is, it's a good couple of hours. It's such a solid game. Like I said, it's a really fair price for just a fantastic title. And I think someone like Rowdy, who maybe isn't so much up for multiplayer games as much, would give him a real good buzz playing that through. So I have to recommend it to all of you. This is my must-play game. I gave you 3 months on the clock, but the Morrigan
3 months? Wow, okay.
Hey, I have to be realistic. You guys are busy gentlemen.
Realistic, yeah, that's quite realistic.
and this is where I should pop in actually and say something to Zim, because we've kind of missed each other, because obviously you were away on the last podcast. Yep. I was away on the one before, so we've been away from each other for a little while. Get teary-eyed out in the chat.
Give each other a hug, come on.
Come on. So we had a little friendly competition though, as to who was going to finish the Shadow Point.
Shit.
And I heard you call me out on the show. It was like, well, Mike's away. I'm going to smash it. So did you finish it?
Oh my God, no! It's so hard. It is so hard. So we were talking about Shadow Point, and I tried again, and it's just too difficult. It's just like I don't know how to progress, to be honest. I'm just bashing my head against the wall. Did you complete?
I finished it, yeah. I finished it.
Good man. So no spoilers, but good man.
Are you still stuck in the pendulum area?
Yeah. Pendulum is still kicking my ass.
So what is Shadow Point again?
So Shadow Point is like a puzzle game from CodeSync. They actually sponsored our podcast for a month. Yeah. They're a really great sponsor because it's great having an awesome game that we enjoy playing as a sponsor of the show. Yeah. But yeah, basically you follow this story where there's a missing girl. She goes missing like 12 years ago from an observatory. and then you basically follow this narration by Sir Patrick Stewart, which is incredible, to help lead you through the story, and you've got to solve all these like mind-bending puzzles. And it sort of works with perspective, like light perspective, and then later on it starts messing with gravity and different sort of shifts in terms of like... Yeah, it gets really mind-bending. It gets very challenging, but it's super rewarding. Like when you actually do finish it. But I'll say to you now, Zim, it gets even harder than what it's like now. So good luck.
Also, did you know that Mike has like posters of Sir Patrick Stewart above his bed?
That's true. That's true. No. Yeah, of course. Every night I sort of.
Wait. How do you know that, Nathie?
Good question.
I'm also a member of the Sir Patrick fan forum.
That's why. That's what you do when you're part of the club. You have a picture above your bed.
Yeah.
That's how you get in. So awesome. So let's move on then.
I will continue. I will report back when I finally beat it, Mike. But it's going to take me some going. Yeah.
Good luck with it.
Thank you.
Let's find out what Rowdy's been up to this week then. What you've been up to, dude?
Well, this week I've been back at some Contractors and some Pavlov. Only it was the first time that I actually played it with the Rift S, and also I used the Force Tube with the controllers there. Pavlov worked fine for me. I didn't have a lot of issues. The only thing was with I haven't used the new beta version with the improved tracking that they implemented. So my tracking was still all over the place when I was playing Contractors, up to the point that it was literally almost unplayable for me every time I tried to get a shot. And it wasn't my bad aiming. I keep on saying it wasn't my bad aiming. Also, I remember that we mentioned on the podcast that the controllers would fit into the Force Tube or into the Pro Tube slots. But they don't really. They slip out of it fairly quickly. Yeah. It's definitely not a handy thing. I really recommend getting the new Pro Tube modules for that, because it's not ideal to do it with the old ones, because they just slowly slip out, and every time it's important, then you hold the controller half in your hand, which is just annoying. So I actually ended up playing it without it. Yeah, which made it a little bit better.
I made that so embarrassing mistake where I was playing it the night, and the guy's like, just take a photo of the two cups, and I sent it to him. He's like, no, wrong cups, buddy. And I was like, oh shoot. But it actually, one of them held it just fine. The other one just, as you say, just keeps kind of popping out. So
yeah. Like I said, you could jam it in, but the developer, bless his heart, from ProTube was like, please don't do that. Just use the proper cups. So I did in the end, and it is a better experience. But interestingly, Rowdy, did you have to reconfigure your stock, lay the controllers down further?
I reconfigured the stock in a way that it would fit with the weapon model better, but I didn't change it from the positions that I had from the Rift, because I'm kind of used to those as well.
Right. So that's really key to getting a better experience. And I found this as well. So you really have to almost lay the controllers down a bit. And I know it takes a bit of getting used to in terms of grips and stuff. You do sort of learn the muscle memory to get back into it again. But that's the way the tracking system works, and it will work better that way. But also, with the new update, which we reported about last week, I think the tracking is improved. I haven't actually tried it myself, but a lot of people from the community, particularly on the Oculus subreddit, have reported good things. I have to say, though, I also tried it without the Force Tube, with just using the controllers in my hands. Yeah. And then my tracking was still it was better, but it still wasn't up to the point that I was used to having it. Yeah, you should definitely try the new update. Maybe you should, if you get a chance, it'd be interesting if you tried it this week, and then maybe report back next week to see if you... It's just a bit weird that you need to update to a beta version in order for it to work properly, I think. Yeah. That's why. It's a little bit counterintuitive for me.
Fix it for all those poor consumers. Dang it. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
So there we go. What about you then, Nathie? What have you been playing, dude?
Yeah, so first of all, I've been also asking in the chat what everyone has been, playing. We have Steam Drumheller, who had a lot of fun putting his kids into Richie's Plank experience. There is this one company who makes videos about Richie's Plank experience, and it's a karaoke company. So these people sing, and then they walk over the plank, and then they start pushing them. It's really funny, yeah. I showed it to Rowdy. That's the company's goal. We're gonna put people in Richie's Plank experience while we're doing karaoke and push them off the board. Yeah, maybe we should.
Just while we're on Richie's Plank experience, sorry to interrupt, but I read a story on the Oculus Quest subreddit this week where a guy was letting his father play Richie's Plank, and he was really getting into it, really loved it. And then his sister played, and then his dad was like messing with her, like trying to push her and stuff. Like, please don't do that. Like, don't mess with people that are playing Richie's Plank experience. And then the dad, this is karma, by the way, decided that he was going to step off the plank for the first time, but he actually leaped off face first and hit his head on a nearby chair. So just don't leap off the plank forward like Superman. Like you're in real life, remember? And don't mess with people that are playing the game.
Was that a video or was that
Sadly, not a video, just a story.
Oh.
If you're going to do something ridiculous, get the camera rolling first.
Yeah.
Come on. To pay the internet the dividends it deserves.
Quick tip, objects are not real. Don't try to sit on chairs that aren't there and things like that. Yes.
I keep seeing these, though, those videos where people literally just go for it. Like, they're like, and I love it because this tells you how good VR is. Because people are like, oh, yeah, I'm there. I'm going to dive into the pool.
He's actually right about that. That means that it's taking off.
Yeah, well, it's convincing some people enough that they're like, whoa, it's actually the holodeck. I can do what I want. I just can't wait to see someone do something there. And you're like, Dad, we can see what you're doing. Please back away from,
Wait, so that means that VR is not dead. Mind blowing. Okay, let's continue. We have Jamie, who played Thrill of the Fight, the Morrigan. And he showed off several other games to his friends on the 4th. Was it maybe the American Dream? Who knows? And then we have Jarmo, who played Freediver. And
Freediver's fun.
That's about it.
Wait. Where's Watuk this week?
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I don't know. I don't see him.
I didn't see him.
Hello?
So wait. Last week he played Pancake Games, and then this week he's not even going to show up. He's dead to us now. He's dead to us.
Okay. Oh yes.
That's the thing. Like, if you sign up for this is like a cult, right? There's no walking away. You just keep playing VR games.
This is why Mike is losing subscribers at the moment. That's how he's treating his own audience. Oh wow.
So what did you play then?
What did I play? I totally forgot about that segment too. Yes. So I finally got to try the Valve Index. It took a while. I was late to the party. But yeah, I jumped into actually the first. What do you think I jumped in first?
the lab experience?
VR Paradise.
VR Paradise.
Oh my God, VR Paradise,
Oh
which
my
is a
God.
strip club.
Kanojo. What was it called again?
It wasn't
Kanojo.
Kanojo. No.
No, I don't have a guess. I don't have a guess.
Well, the lab would be
The
a good one,
browser.
but no, I went to just SteamVR home. I made a Half-Life room, and then I was just testing out my controllers, stuff like that. And suddenly there were people joining in because it was a public room, and we were in the Half-Life apartments from I think the first or the. I think it was the first game, the apartment.
Second one.
Second, yeah. So within the city, right? And it was so funny that people started to join that I didn't know, just strangers. They weren't in my friend list. So someone first joined with touch controllers because you can see what controllers they have, right? And then someone joined in with a Vive and it's once. And then an Index too. So suddenly I was there with all these fun people with all kinds of headsets, and we were just messing around, and I was trying my hands out, things like that. But that reminded me again of how important it is to have a friend system on a platform, right? And to be able to just hang out and do crazy stuff in just a room, and that's it. Not even play a game, I would say, just socialize. That's just something I wanted to mention. And then I hopped over to Aperture Hand Lab because I think that's the demo you are supposed to play for the first time with the Valve Index. Also because there is nothing else really that you should go for. Maybe the Moondust demo, that could also be an option. But Aperture Hand Lab shows the full potential, of the controllers. And I was very surprised by not just the finger tracking, but more of the haptics in there and how accurate It is, because when I shook the hand, because you have to constantly do all kinds of stuff like rock, paper, scissors, and you have to high five a core from Portal because it's in the Portal universe. But there was this one moment where I had to give a handshake, and the way the controls were rumbling was so realistic. It felt like I was grabbing its hand, and I could feel its fingers in a way. You know what I mean? So I was like, wow. Not only is the finger tracking quite good, but also the haptics within these controllers. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only thing that's a shame about that experience is that it's short. You know, I think you just want more.
It depends on how you play it. Like I've been spending a long time in there, because if you want, you can ignore everything you have to do in this demo, and then these cores start to talk a lot. But besides the dialogue, yes, there isn't much going on. There were a couple of Easter eggs in there, so if you keep your eyes open, you'll find a lot of stuff. But besides that, I didn't really play much. I played some Beat Saber, and that's about it. So
also, you had a guest over, right? You had Vivian over.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, she wanted to actually try the Pimax and the Rift S. And it was so funny because she's running an esports team in Onward, and she was like, "Yeah, I want to try these headsets." So we hopped in, and it was just so funny because she was playing with my name, but she's more known in Onward. So they were like, "Oh, Nathie, what happened with your voice?" And I was like, "No, it's Vivian." I was like, "Hey, Vivian, what's up?" And they had I was just sitting here, not being able to join, but just looking at the screen like, "What's going on?" But they were having such a great time. They were having such a great time together. So, yeah, I don't know. It was quite
awesome. If you don't know who Vivian is, by the way, she's the host of The Hive.
Also,
So she's a really, really cool member of the community. We've met her a couple of times in real life. So, yeah, really nice person. You should go and check her out on Twitter. But I'm interested. I was going to say, I'm interested in your thoughts on the Index and the Aperture Hand Labs, because you got to try it out for the first time at Kess and Cherries, right?
I did, yeah. So I got to try that demo. I got to try the Index. I got to try the Pimax 5K Plus as well. So really interesting to kind of try those headsets side by side for the first time. And I think that's the best way it could have gone down, honestly, because the Pimax kind of does what it says it does in giving you that like ultra wide field of view, with this funny like scuba gear distortion on the sides, which some of you will have tried and know about. I didn't like it because the stereo depth seemed like faked or something. I didn't feel depth in that headset like you should. Something about the software layer was a bit funny. The build and all that was actually a lot better than I thought on Pimax. It was like a lighter, smaller form factor than I was expecting. It wasn't as much a hammerhead shark, although you kind of looked like that. My initial thoughts when I saw the Pimax build about a year or so ago, I thought, when you're Beat Saber, you're going to be hitting the headset, and that just isn't the case.
No.
But when I pulled up the Index again, it's a lovely feeling headset. It feels like quite balanced. Nathie had said it's comfortable. I agree, it's a comfortable headset. There's two things that resound for me is like the amazing engineering aspect of that headset, and that's holy cow, those the off the ear headphones. I wish I could have those on every headset. That is I don't know how they came up with. I mean, obviously you could come up with that because of the dog-eared, Vive dual audio strap or deluxe audio strap.
It's actually funny that we talked about like hearing like a couple of episodes back, and that we actually mentioned like the head transfer function, the head related transfer function.
Yes.
That is actually a similar kind of technique what they're using here. By putting it like off of the ears, they actually have like more of like that real kind of sounding audio, the way that it hits your ear. It's a very smart thing to do.
It's a very good point. And it's just like there's a few things. Like I love the fact that you throw the headset on, you don't have something touching your ears, someone can stand next to you, and it's totally a factor of like where you're turning the volume, whether or not you can hear them or not, which is so weird. It's so weird to stand next to somebody and you can't hear at all what they're hearing, and they can be deaf to you. And nothing's touching their ears. And you can't hear it. It's just weird. Like, so that was cool. And then the headset itself. Like when I first put it on, I was like, okay. Like I was seeing like vertical and horizontal a bit like PSVR, and the Kaz is like, no, you got to crank it into your eyeballs. And I was like, what? Okay. So And I'll get to the index controllers in a second because I have some comments about them. But you turn the dial, and the thing literally touched my forehead. It didn't touch my eyelashes or anything, but it touched my forehead. And then it's nice. It's clear kind of crystal pattern. But the thing that I noticed straight away was the weirdest thing. It's kind of like if you had two thick-rimmed glasses. The bottom of the rims give a reflection. Which is like a bounce back on a God ray or something. And so those lenses, I'm not like, although it's clear to the edges, unlike Pimax, and it gives you a much wider field of view. So instead of like looking through a binocular circle, the edges were a little bit shaded, but otherwise you're in it. And I think that for horror games, it would go really well, aside from maybe the high contrast scenes where it doesn't work so well. And then the other thing that I had to say just about the headset to kind of finish it off is, the controllers paired with it. I think I'm standing on the opposite of your impression, Mike, from listening back to the podcast last week. I'm the opposite. Like, I would buy the headset, as I said, for the kind of immersive experience, to have that extra bit. I'd probably keep the plastic front off of it because it breathes better without the plastic front. And I just leave those perforated holes, kind of allow it to get rid of heat a little bit better. But the controllers, I didn't like them. I didn't like them for a few reasons, and the main thing is the thing I was worried about was this kind of funny pinch on your hand. Rowdy, after you left, the thing that you found or that you reported last week with the kind of twitchy last finger, I had the same problem after about 15 minutes of it grabbing my hand that way. So maybe I could ease off the tightness of the strap, but it was definitely something that I noticed and I didn't like. So it's a different category, like hand controller, but I much prefer the touch controllers, I gotta say. But the headset is very good.
Have you ever adjusted this side too?
Yes.
Because that really helps in that case. Although what I wanted to say here is that what I personally like the most is this cradle that you can,
for small heads.
It's like in the box. It's in like the bottom part of the box, well hidden. But you can like slide it. I don't know if you can see this, but I'm sliding it into the strap now on the back. It's like a squeezy in a way.
It's like a little bumper at the back.
Yeah, and it sticks in there, and then you have this nice padding, and it's this like memory foam that you have.
Have you got that upside down? Yeah. Okay.
No, it's not. It's not upside down.
See, I saw that, and I thought that was for kids. Like, put your head in. It's for kids kind of thing.
That's what I thought too. But it's adding a lot to the comfort, and it's so simple. It's just a piece of foam.
Yeah.
I should try it actually. I haven't actually tried it yet.
Oh, you should. Yeah, you should.
Do you have any problems with it, Mike? Because obviously you don't have the follicle forest that some of us have. Do you notice any differences in terms of how the fit and slip works with those headsets? Because I think you said the Quest slips for you.
Yeah, the Quest slips because it's front heavy, although that's negated by VR cover now, because the material on the original pad sort of allows it to move, whereas the VR cover has got like a pleather, so it's a bit more tactile, sticky, so it stays in place more. But with the Index, no, I think it's really comfortable. But the thing is, like, today was the first day that I went from Index to Rift S, and it's kind of noticeable with the display is the biggest difference. Because the Index has the slightly wider field of view. I wouldn't say it looks that much clearer, because when you go to the Rift S, it's got the bigger sweet spot, so you don't need to adjust it as much. And everything, you don't get the glare either. So it's kind of a bit of a trade-off there as to which one you want to go for.
But isn't that with every headset? Every headset is a trade-off, right?
Of course.
I mean,
but no, I don't know. I feel like
find the one that suits you best. That's the thing. Like, I think we mentioned it a couple of episodes back as well. Like, try as many headsets as you can, and like pick the one that like suits you best.
You can always send them back, right? You can try one and be like, hey, now I try the other one.
It's hard to
some
try
people, and also some people buy a headset for the hardware. Some others buy it for the content. So then your choices are going to be different too. But that's, I mean, we had this story so many times, this conversation.
It's this weird. I consider it the Bermuda Triangle of VR right now. Because if someone comes to me and goes, hey, which headset's the best? I don't have an answer to that now. Because Index is like definitely the best panel immersion step for me, if you ignore the glare and those problems. The Rift S is the kind of best all-rounder for a great price. And then the Quest, of course, no wires. How do you beat that? And now, especially because you can stream to the Quest over a 5G Wi-Fi and get a lot of the other games in with a little bit more kind of work. And that works pretty damn well as well. So God, it's a good year for VR. That's all I'll say.
It's kind of funny, just before we move on to what I played, like out of all the VR headsets, the Quest is the only one that I can recommend without any caveats. Do you know what I mean? Like with everything else, it's kind of like, oh, the Index, yeah, it's great, but you got to like deal with this, or yeah, the Rift S is great, but the audio sucks, or but whereas the Quest is like, just get the Quest, like it's freaking awesome, man. You can take it everywhere you want to go. It's great.
Just don't get hit by a train, a car, or a bus.
Yeah, don't do that.
And listen to this episode in detail first, because I got some things to say in that corner, Mike.
Cool. Okay. Well, I'll quickly cover what I played because I went to the cinema actually. I went outside, so you can congratulate me on that.
What is that outside?
It's quite nice actually. It's warm.
Is it warm?
It's very warm.
Nah, I don't like that. Nah, I don't
the place that I went, which was a cinema, had air conditioning, so I was okay.
Oh, okay. And there's no sunlight in there.
No sunlight. So
that's my place. That's my spot.
You'd enjoy it for sure. But I went to see Spider-Man: Far From Home with a friend. And yeah, it's a really great movie, by the way. I won't spoil anything, but if you like Marvel movies, definitely go and check it out. It's up there with like Endgame and the others in terms of its quality. Really, really great movie. But as I checked out the movie, I thought, well, I should probably check out the VR experience now. And it's available for free, by the way. It's on Oculus Home, SteamVR, and PSVR. So if you want to check it out, go and check it out for free. And I was a bit like dubious because the previous Spider-Man experience for the Homecoming movie was pretty disappointing. It starts off nice. You wear the suit, you sling some webs, and then you're just about to swing off a crane, and you're like, "This is amazing," and then it just ends. So it's really anticlimactic.
Wait. The suit. I gotta ask you: is this like Half-Life where you see the suit, then you get into the suit, or you have the suit on when you get in?
Oh, so in this new experience,
the new one, yeah.
Yeah. So you start in Peter Parker's bedroom, which is kind of a bit strange.
Okay.
He's got and then in his drawer he's got the mask. You pick up the mask, you put it on, and you can wear the suit.
In the old one, that was the case as well. You didn't start in his bedroom, but you had a briefcase where
exactly.
That was way more badass, though.
That was way more badass. Yeah, it was like a suitcase from Tony Stark or something. It was really cool.
And the character model was better too, because in this one, this character model is super funky.
Yeah, agreed. But yeah, the cool thing about this experience is that you can actually swing through New York. You can fire webs, and it kind of gives you that Windlands 2 style swinging feeling.
But it's not as good as Windlands, though.
It's not as good as Windlands.
It's also not the same budget as Windlands.
The only really cool thing about that game is basically that swinging.
Yeah, but I think that's what everyone wanted from the original one. Like all the fans of Spider-Man who have a VR headset was like, I just want to swing through the city like Spider-Man. And they allow you to do that in this experience.
Oh, and surf on cars too.
And surf on cars, you can do that. However, the things that do let it down are there's like a boss fight. It's kind of a bit meh. There's drone enemies in there that are also meh.
It's an awkward fight, right?
The city itself
is poorly textured.
Like the only thing
there's no object detection. When you see the robot running through the city, the cars just like blip through it. Like they don't disappear or anything.
It's so funny that this city, the only thing you will find in this city are garbage cans, bags, people, cars, and grass and street and buildings, but there's no tree to be seen. It's all super empty. But the weird part is if you play the PSVR version, you don't even have a body, an actual avatar. It's different. It's those versions are even. Let's say the PSVR one is even emptier street-wise.
Wow. But yeah, I think that the thing is, having seen the movie and then played the VR experience, I was like, without spoiling anything, the VR experience has nothing to do with the movie. Nothing. No. It shares nothing because in the movie, it's no great secret, but the movie's synopsis is like Peter Parker's going on vacation. He's getting away from New York.
Yeah, there's nothing to do with that. That's weird.
It takes place in
because in
Europe.
The diary, it's like the things he still needs to do before he's heading to Europe.
Oh, I didn't read his diary. I'm not that kind of weirdo, Rowdy, reading teenage boys' diaries.
That's what I do.
Wait. What is the dialogue all about then in this experience?
So it's your friend Ned. He's giving you instructions.
But the dialogue has been made for this experience.
Yeah, but it's really got nothing to do with the movie. And the thing is, they could have done stuff that links with the movie, and I won't spoil anything, but they could have easily adapted it to make things work. But the biggest plus is that you get to be Spider-Man and swing through the sea, and that's the bit that I really enjoyed, and that's the bit I had a lot of fun with. and it's free. You can't really complain that much. It gives us what we actually really wanted, and it's free. So it's good to see that Sony Pictures Virtual Reality Studio have taken the feedback on board that we gave them from the first one and have made something better the second time around.
Is it worth downloading then? I mean, it's a free game, but is it worth my time to go and play this?
Yeah, for you could swing around the city for half an hour and have some fun on stream for sure.
Okay.
Like when you're standing on a rooftop and you just leap off, that moment of like kind of vertigo and then you swing, that's worth it for that's worth it alone.
But that's like 20 seconds, and then it's kind of like, okay.
Rowdy's just not impressed with anything anymore.
I think the funniest part about the description on their store is like, you can finally web swing through the cities of New York. It's like Sony Pictures knew what people wanted, and it's almost like they were getting frustrated of all these complaints. They're like, okay, you know what? Here, go and swing, and now just shut up.
Yeah, a lot of people have been asking me if it's coming to Quest, and I know that the developers are thinking about bringing a Quest version out and also adapting it for Index. It would have been cool for Index if you do that like Spider-Man, like movement with your hand, but I guess that would have got a bit tiring after a little while.
I think it's gonna be a simple part, and the thing is, I don't know if there's still budget marketing wise to do that. I don't know why they would still do it. Then you had to do it last week or maybe this week, but next week is going to get late because most of the people have seen it already, and I don't know.
And that's the thing. Like, again, I'm not going to spoil anything like massive, but there is a character called Mysterio in the new Spider-Man movie. He's on the cover of the poster, so it's not a big spoiler. But you don't get to meet him in the VR experience either. And it would have been cool at the end for him to say, okay, now you've done your task, let's go and do what we really need to do together. And then it kind of encourages you to go and see the movie, Which
is buy a ticket to the film.
Yeah, that's it. That's what it's made for. It's a trap you step into, and then it's like, hey, you want more? Go buy a ticket for the movie.
But I would actually welcome that, like Mike, what you're saying there about a kind of a step off to then, it's like we gave you this free experience. You had a bit of fun. Now it's time to, some of you go and buy a ticket, right? I don't mind if they finish it up that way, because it's like being transparent that like this is what paid for the experience to be created. And also, if you're playing the experience and you had a bit of fun and you're intending to go with the movie anyway, it kind of helps them with their metrics that says, especially for the VR studio who developed it, we can afford to go do this again. So,
At least it's still better than Jumanji VR.
Way better. Anything's better than Pizza Temple's better than Jumanji. But
even Halo Recruit.
Yes, even Halo Recruit is better than Jumanji.
Wow.
But yeah, go and check out Spider-Man. It's free. So let's move into some quick news then. And first up, before we get into quick news, actually, we've got some congratulations in order, as Oculus founder Palmer Luckey got married this week. On the 4th of July, Palmer married Nicole in California. So congratulations to you both. I know you both listen to the show every week. Of course, it wouldn't be Palmer unless there was VR involved. And what they actually planned to do was live stream the whole event in VR 360. So they had a setup there to live stream it so you could watch it in a VR headset, which is kind of cool. Like you're almost there, part of the ceremony, which is an awesome idea. But unfortunately, the internet was pretty poor at the place that they hosted the wedding at. So they couldn't stream it, but they recorded it, and now it's online. So if you want to watch it back, there's like 2.5 hours of the wedding.
2.5 hours?
Yeah, of the wedding.
Did you watch it?
No, I haven't had time to watch it. I watched it a little bit in the browser. There's a lot of people dancing and listening to music. I think it's more of the reception rather than the ceremony. Oh. But you can watch it online if you want. It's in VR 360.
Was he wearing slippers?
I don't know if he was wearing slippers. He was wearing like a white tuxedo, and he came in via helicopter, which was pretty badass, I thought.
Jesus, really? Oh my God.
Yeah,
That's
apparently so.
This wedding was super spectacular. If you've seen the pictures, you're like, whoa, this is legit.
It had some like real OG VR developers there. Had Somatic Bruce there. Blair, the guy that's developing Lo-Fi, who previously developed Technolust, was there. So there's like people there from the industry that he's obviously knows well. So that was really cool. But yeah, congratulations to Palmer and Nicole for getting married. If you're interested, by the way, to find out more about Palmer's life, and I would highly recommend it, including like creating the company Oculus and then being acquired by Facebook and then his departure. I'd highly recommend reading the book History of the Future by Blake J. Harris. You can also check it out as an audiobook as well if you're too lazy to read. But it's a really great story. Very interesting if you want to know more about him.
I'm still yet to do that. I got to do the audiobook of that because that's pretty good. But I got to say, when I saw this photo for the first time, I did a little bit of a spit take because I was like, is this Palmer or is it Kim Jong-un? Because it kind of looks like Kim Jong-un, to be honest. At least I know now what it would look like if he got married. But there you go. Anyway.
Nice.
Sorry, Palmer.
Nice. Well, Palmer won't be listening to the show anymore after that comment.
Oh, hey, thanks, Jim.
He does, with his hair and everything. He looks like him. He does.
Oh,
but
wow.
actually, I was expecting him, because these two, they're both cosplayers. So I was expecting him, okay, it is a wedding, so maybe they aren't going to go cosplay their wedding. But I've got to check out more photos of it to see what went down.
I'm dying over here.
Palmer, here. Oh my days! I'm so sorry.
Yeah, we apologize on Zim's behalf.
Yeah, there you go.
But if you want to see Palmer cosplaying, by the way, he does an excellent rendition of Quiet from Metal Gear Solid. You should go and check that out.
Isn't there also one where he is dressed up as a brony?
I haven't seen that one.
Like with this rainbow thing. Maybe it's photoshopped. I don't know. Like nowadays, everything is fake.
Well, deep fakes.
Yeah.
You never know what is real anymore.
Cosplay photos.
It could be Kim Jong-un playing Palmer, you know?
God.
All these fakes going on.
Let's not start that as a meme. Let's move on then. Quick news. First up is Oculus Quest sound reduction. That's kind of interesting because Oculus recently pushed an update to the Quest. And since then, users have been reporting that the maximum volume level has been reduced. So they can't crank up their volume anymore. And Zim, you're the one that actually kind of noticed this, went to Reddit, and also confirmed it via Twitter, right?
I did. I used a capture mechanism while I was streaming Oculus Quest, which relied upon the soundbar audio. Mm-hmm. So I was capturing that as well as at the same time. So I'd wear a mic that was kind of strapped to my face. And between recordings in the first and through the second weeks, audio was fine. It was a good level. It was actually the point where if you maxed it out, like in Beat Saber, you'd want to turn it down because it was a little bit too loud for your ears. But then about a week ago, maybe a little bit more than a week ago, I noticed, I was putting shows on again. I was like, why can't they hear it? We were playing Shadowpoint. And I was like, why can't they hear the audio? I can barely hear the audio. what's going on? And so I tried a whole bunch of different apps and I compared my recordings and things and I was like, okay, hang on a second. Is this just my device? So I compared against my wife's device, which obviously hadn't had the patch yet, and it was different. So I've reached out essentially on Twitter, and other people are like, "Oh, thank God, I'm not going insane. You've got it too." And then this was definitely a bit of a rabbit hole. I opened it up on Reddit, and there were a fair number of other people reporting the same issue. And I would say, if I was to estimate it, that the volume has dropped probably down to about 60% of its original volume. It's a substantial change. Some people no longer can, the people who were playing in a noisy environment, this is one of the comments on Reddit. It's I play on a noisy environment, but I can the volume in the headset is yet enough to overcome the background and I can still enjoy it. But now, post the audio reduction, I can't use the headset properly, I can't hear my game audio. And I was finding something similar because there's not enough game audio getting into the microphone to then feed to people, and so I had to change my solution for the streaming on the setup. But very interesting change. The current hypothesis, let's say, that we have is there were a lot of problems both on the S and the Quest, which related to audio crackle. And I don't know if any of you experienced, but I certainly did on either jack. And you could kind of fool it to maybe stop crackling a little bit by plugging something in the 3.5mm jack on the side that was crackling and unplugging it, and somehow that would trick the electronics to stop crackling at a high volume. But it has, I would say, effectively reduced the amount of crackle. But for me, and many other people have commented on this, it's give me back my volume. I'll take the crackle with the higher volume, thank you. So I'm really hoping that Oculus, even though they haven't mentioned anything formally about this, yes, it was an intended patch roll. This wasn't an unintended thing that happened, along with one of the firmware updates or something they did. And secondly, I want my volume back eventually. So I hope whatever they're doing behind the scenes to try to help fix that crackle, which may or may not be a hardware issue, I hope they're going to give us our volume back because it's actually critical to the device. And I'm surprised that this has happened, and I've heard people wanting to return their units, and I've thought about it myself.
Especially with inbuilt audio.
Yeah.
Because it needs all the power it can get in terms of audio.
Well, it's the whole point. And also, even if you decide, right, even though the unit is designed to be used on its own standalone, you decide I want to put a pair of headphones with it.
Oh, it's even
Some
affecting that.
headphones are more resistive than others, and what it means is it requires more power to drive them. So you jack that into the side. Before, it might have been fine. It might have been sufficient to drive them. And now it will have dropped it below, for some users, below a useful volume level. So it's kind of a surprising change. I can see why they would have done it. I'd like them to come out and comment on it and not just leave us in the dark going, what did you do to my Quest in the latest patch?
These kind of things you should just communicate through a blog post. Like, hey, these are the updates we did. There you go. If you have any feedback, let us know. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. We said this before, and at that time that, Jason Rubin did that really long Twitter post and was really clear about everything,
Exactly.
that was really welcome. And we want more of that, when these changes happen, even if it happens, as long as we got a reason as to why,
Exactly.
and that something's being done to resolve it, then you're going to put out all those fires then. Whereas what you're leaving is customers in the dark and they're just upsetting people.
I don't need to be perfect either. Like, it doesn't have to be a communication that has come through their marketing team. Like, it just needs to be a tweet from someone at Oculus that says, this is something we did. We're trying to fix this thing. We don't know how long it's going to take. That's all we need to know.
But I'm always surprised that when something goes wrong on the Oculus side, people have to tweet John Carmack, have to tweet Jason Rubin, have to make a Reddit post where the more angrier they get, the more effective it might be. But in the end, it's all about just make the blog posts, keep your roadmap updated, show people what you are going to do next, what you have done, because otherwise you don't want to have updates all the time and not know what they do. With other products I own, I usually get a little, update, like patch notes of what I will be updating to.
Yeah.
That's the way it should go.
Yeah. Agreed. So let us know in the chat, by the way, if you've been affected by this as well. We'd love to know what you think about it. But let's round up some more quick news then. The next bit of quick news is kind of interesting if you're into racing and you own a PSVR. You have some options right now. You have Drive Club VR, you've got Dirt Rally, Gran Turismo Sport, and the Wipeout Omega Collection, which I think is the best of the bunch in my opinion. Although, if you've got a racing wheel, maybe that's not so great. Dirt Rally is probably the best one out of the bunch out of that, if that's your bag. But PC really seems to be where VR racing is at right now. You've got Assetto, Zim's deep down this rabbit hole. But the good news is that if you're a PSVR, you've got some light at the end of the tunnel, because recently the creator of the Gran Turismo series, because this is going to struggle. I'm going to struggle with
Mike, do it.
Kazunori Yamauchi talked about the next game that is being in development right now with racing news site GT Planet. Now, apparently, the next Gran Turismo game is going to be coming out on the next generation PlayStation. It's not going to be coming out on the current PS4. And when they were asked about what they plan to do with the new power of the new console, he replied, "The first thing that's going to be affected by more power is VR. I don't think there's anything else that requires that much processing power. I really like VR, and I'm one to believe in the possibilities of it, and it's very suited for a driving game." So it's kind of a really good indication there that
Sounds promising, yeah.
That Sony are investing obviously in this new hardware, the new console, and that VR, hopefully, fingers crossed, is going to be a big part of it. With all this new processing power, hopefully they can bring a new headset out. But like we've mentioned on a previous show before, that Sony have already confirmed in an interview with Wired that the current gen PSVR is going to be backwards compatible with the new PlayStation hardware. So that's great.
Which I think is a very smart move, because you have a lot of people that invested money into this headset not that long ago. Let us still not forget that. The only thing that I would still like to see personally is a new tracking solution for the move controls. But even that is not really a requirement, I think.
And you give them...
They're going on the right road by focusing on content. And even with the new PlayStation, people buy that new PlayStation knowing that they will be able to use their PSVR headset with it, which is how many have already been sold? 2 million? And
way more than that now.
Well, the thing is, you give them breathing space to slowly upgrade, because in the end, people that still play with their original PSVRs will upgrade in the end, but they can do it at their own pace. So they don't get forced to do it, but they have enough time to, hop over from one headset to the other whenever they want. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. The thing is, even with the current racing games that are on PSVR, because of the way it's set up. I mean, it's such a wonderful thing to race. If you've not played a driving game, even something like a Euro Truck Simulator, or again, Mike mentioned an excellent title, which is Dirt Rally. I mean, the feeling of speed is just fantastic. And if I might say something positive towards Pimax, from my experience, was that that's the one thing that we tried, but I unfortunately didn't get a chance to try out, is I think flight or driving games would be quite good with that headset, irrespective of the fact that there were some effects with the headset's screen that I didn't like. But I'm super enthused about this. I just hope that because GT Sport came out and it was only part of the game, kind of like that Tomb Raider experience that we had before, right? You only had this like little segment of the game that was VR. It kind of feels like if you're going to do that, release it as a separate, standalone, maybe free, like update or piece of content that you're willing to kind of give people just as a teaser for the game, because I feel like having to pay the full price for that VR bit when all you really care about is the VR bit doesn't seem fair. So I'm really hoping that this next game on the new console is holistically VR. And I think the comment that you mentioned there, the quote that you cited, Mike, is promising that maybe it will be.
But wasn't that the same case with Ace Combat?
Exactly.
Also, right?
Yeah, it was. And also Battlefront as well, if you wanted to try the X-Wing mission, which is really cool, by the way. You know, if you can pick it up cheap, then I would definitely recommend it. But you have to buy the full game. Really, it should just be a demo to get you into the game. That's exactly what Zim said.
Especially in digital distribution, there's no reason why it can't be a separate thing. Even if it was some kind of compartmentalized DLC that wasn't, you didn't actually get access to the main game.
Yeah, but
so Mike, quick update. Watto is now in the chat.
He's back.
Well, does it matter?
Do you have anything to say? Because I don't think he knew what was going on.
So we'll have you back if you tell us what games you played this week, and they better be VR titles. But while we wait for that, have you played many racing games on the PSVR then, as in like using a wheel setup? Because I'd imagine your wheel's compatible with PS4 as well, right? Or are you just been playing them on?
No, I think my wheel is my wheel's kind of old. It's a G27. I've only been playing wheel games on PC. I did play Drive Club on the day that PlayStation VR launched, and that game is atrocious. Stay away from Drive Club. It looks pretty. Don't let it entice you in. It's just stay away from it. It's like so arcadey, and the different cars feel like they're all just wafting on the road. Like, stay away from that. It's not a good game. I've heard Dirt Rally is as good on PlayStation. I think have you played it on PlayStation then? I've only played it on PC myself.
I've only ever played a Dirt Rally on PC. I will say though that if you're kind of new to VR, games like this can be very intense. Particularly Dirt Rally.
Or
Wipeout. I was really susceptible to motion sickness. I remember playing VR Rally, Dirt Rally, and it really spun me out. Yeah, it really spun me out.
Special snowflake.
My uncle actually wanted to try Project Cars as his first VR experience.
Wow.
And he's totally into racing, and he knew the track. He was like, oh yeah, BMW, let's do this. But he went so crazy on it that he crashed all over the place because he had to play with a gamepad. I don't have the proper wheel, stuff. But he got extremely sick. He had to sit outside. It was like, wow, this is too much. So yeah, for a first VR experience, even if someone is saying like, oh, please do the racing stuff, I don't know. Speed is can be very very intense.
Well, even worse if you come across a nasty bug. I had one where I was in just like an open wheel car sitting on a track, and then someone hit me, and I was on a custom map, and for some reason the physics went screwy, so my car started bouncing up and down and rotating faster and faster horizontally. And for anyone who knows, my biggest limiter is horizontal movement. So if my daughter comes in and spins me in the chair, I'll actually feel nauseous. I can tell you it was like instantaneous nausea. So sometimes. But Wipeout got me recently. I was really surprised. Like, I played 2.5 of those 3 games in the package, and then recently I went back. I didn't think about it because I was a little bit sick, and when I'm a little bit sick, I'm super nausea sensitive. But Wipeout, the way the car is bobbing in the air, and then you're flying at fast speed. Yeah, be careful with that one. But
it's Wipeout or Redout with the Pimax.
It's good though. The feeling of speed is
that would be epic. So Watto UK is back on track. He says that he played tons of stuff. to make up for last week.
Our disciple, huh?
He remembers. So he played Shadow of the Tomb Raider in side by side. Yes.
Wow.
So third person in VR. Love it.
Next level, yeah.
That's my jam. Alien Isolation on the Pimax.
Nice.
And then Overload plus, to finish it off, Project Cars 1 and 2.
Wow.
So is that good enough for you, Mike?
Yeah, he's redeemed himself. He's back in the
Welcome
club.
back to the family.
Yeah. Just quickly, with Zim saying about him spinning out, it kind of reminded me of that clip I saw recently. I think it was like this last couple of weeks, where it was like a rescue helicopter picked up someone on a woman on a stretcher who had been locked on a mountain. And for some reason, the downforce of the propeller just started spinning the stretch around. But it was so freaking fast. It was so freaking fast. You want to watch it? Like I felt so bad for her. But
That's how you get rid of motion sickness. That's how I actually got immune for getting sick in VR.
Exactly.
You were the guy on the stretcher?
Yeah.
Please, we have to link that in the comments below for this video.
We will.
Helicopter.
We will.
I need to see that.
It's hilarious, but you just feel so bad for her. But she's being rescued, but it just goes wrong. She's probably thinking, I wish I never got rescued.
What the heck?
But let's get into the next bit of quick news then, and that is from the developers of Orbus Reborn. Now, if you're not familiar with Orbus Reborn, it's one of the first sort of VR MMOs, so a bit like World of Warcraft in VR, where you can sort of like level characters, you can form guilds, you can go on quests with your friends, you can do all this kind of stuff. It's very social. Well, now you can check out the free demo, which is available on Steam, and it means that you can play the game and level up to level 10 for free. Which is a lot of content.
Incredibly smart, isn't it? I heard this during the week, and I just think the developers, like, that is how you hook someone into an MMO. Like, it is so intelligent. Because the price barrier before was, what, 40 quid, right? $40?
Yes. Although it's currently on sale right now on Steam. Yeah.
What's the sale price? Do you know?
I think it's down to £30, so probably about $36 around that.
Okay. Because definitely it's, I mean, again, if you're going to play up to level 10, that's a lot of gameplay. And actually they said as well, you could play every character up to level 10. Like, it's not time limited or anything.
Exactly, yeah.
Wait,
you can level up multiple characters.
that means that if you don't kill anything, you can just explore the entire game.
If you don't kill, you still level up.
Make 100 characters or like as many characters as you want and just have them all go to level 10.
Try to just avoid anything to level up and play it for as long as you want.
But the cool thing about Orbus is, like Nathie and I jumped in there very briefly to try out the game, and the community was super friendly, right? They like everyone wants to help you out, teach you the mechanics, and get you into the game. So I can't say enough about the community there. The unfortunate thing is that this demo is only available for the Steam version of the game, so it's not available on Oculus Home, and it's not available for the Quest version either, which is also a shame. Although, of course, the whole game is cross-play with all three platforms, so if you do get the game, you can play with other players with other headsets.
But the Oculus platform, as far as I know, never supported free demos. They had pre-installed demos on the Quest and in the store. But as far as I know, I've never, or am I? No, I don't think I've ever seen that. Only on Steam.
Wrench had a free demo on Oculus.
Yeah, it did.
On Oculus.
Yeah.
It did.
I still have it in my list.
So I think you can install it as a separate game almost. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. Hopefully they can bring it to other platforms because I think it's a really enticing way to get players in. Like
more multiplayers should do this. I think the multiplayers that are struggling at the moment should do this.
Space Junkies could do with something like this very badly. You know, like if you level up to level 5, then you have to pay. Like that gives you a good taste of the game and the mechanics and the weapons and the maps and stuff.
It's very smart because what it is you take that pyramid and what you say is the base of the pyramid is going to be the player base that entices the people who are then going to pay for the game.
Yes.
And that's it.
Get them to do the work for you, basically, you know, as a marketing ploy, you know. But I do know that Kaz and Chari are huge fans of Orbus VR. And
they are.
They play, they used to play MMOs a lot anyway, but they're big fans of this. They play it together, right?
Yeah. I mean, we talked a lot about Orbus because I was kind of going back and forth about my opinions, and I've been humming and hawing over, like, will I get my wife and I in there, you know? How many years of my life do I want to lose? Those kinds of, conversations. But yeah, they're both huge fans of it, and I think they're both level, I don't know, they're at least level 10.
Are you part of the guild now?
Not yet. I want to play with them and see where they've gotten to. Because the thing is, the best part about MMOs typically is, dungeon raids or things like that where you do together.
Yeah, exactly.
And getting together, if you've got 4 people, getting another 2 people to join with you. Again, as you guys have experienced, easy to get people to hook on and you just say like, hey, let's go do that boss, And then the dungeons are actually quite lengthy. Like it can be 20, 30 minutes of gameplay where you're fighting your way through all the mobs to get to the final boss and then, grinding for 10 minutes trying to take the final boss down. So
it just requires dedication. That's all you need. If you want to play Orbus, you need a lot of time.
Yeah, it's funny because my Discord, they created a guild, like an Oasis guild, and they were like, you can be the leader if you want. I was like, dude, don't make me the leader because I am literally the noob of this group. You're going to be carrying me through this game, so don't make me the leader. But there is an awesome community around this game for sure. So if you're interested in MMOs and VR, definitely go check it out.
Mike, the AFK tribe leader.
Exactly. I'm never there.
To be honest, you'll be like most world leaders, Mike. You'll be that guy who's up on the shoulders of like of 4 elephants, in the covered, tapered carrying.
Yeah, everyone else does all the work. I just get the credit for it. Exactly.
That's it.
Okay, so let's move
It's like
on
a
then.
podcast. No.
Pretty much. So as we know, the summer is officially here. We're all hot and bothered, but to cheer us up, there are plenty of VR games for sale, which is great. Last week we covered all the SteamVR games for sale. Nathie confused everyone.
I'm so sorry to hype everyone up with something that didn't exist in the end.
With his €4 ultimate deal ever. But this week we've got some summer sale deals from Oculus. Now you're going to have to be quick because this ends tomorrow, I believe. So
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And this is also only great if you've got a Rift or an Oculus Go. Not so much if you own an Oculus Quest, because sadly nothing's on sale for the Quest.
I thought there was one thing. Someone said there was one.
There was one thing that was cross-buy, which was "I expect you to die," but I think that's been patched down now.
Oh right, yep,
Yeah.
Wait. That's the only one that is on sale for the Quest because the Quest wasn't cross.
It wasn't on sale for the Quest. It was on sale on Rift, and people were buying it on Rift for the cross-buy deal.
Wait. So if a game is cross, then you could still buy.
Yeah.
Rift version for a cheap price, and then you automatically get the Quest one too.
Right, but apparently
technically hidden, there is an Oculus Quest sale, but officially it's not.
Well, that was the only game that was cross-buy that was on the sale, and apparently Shell Games tweeted out that the Oculus could close that loophole. Yeah.
But, okay, that's the.
It is what it is. They don't want to share, unfortunately, for the Quest people. But if you're a Rift person. These are my top picks. First up is From Other Suns, 50% off.
50% off.
50% off. $14.99 in British pounds, $20. Good price.
Excellent price. Fantastic game, and still has a fervent community. It's really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rewarding.
Next is The Climb. Again, 50% off. $14.99 in British pounds, $20. Weird that we haven't heard anything about that coming to Quest yet.
I thought it was supposed to be, because they announced this like quite a while ago. They're like, hey, Quest and Climb, and still nothing? Weird.
Still nothing. Yeah, very weird. Next one is Brass Tactics, 41% off, $13.49 in British pounds, $17.99 in US dollars. If you love like strategy games, that is the best one in VR right now, in my opinion.
Good for nerds.
But do you do need a friend to play that with? I don't know how the servers are nowadays, but
it does have
it does have
single player mode. Yeah, and it's actually got Littlefinger as one of the voices.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah,
it's actually not a bad single player campaign. I played a fair few levels in it. The thing is, the game looks really good. It's one of those games that I think could be totally satisfying single player. My concern would be kind of maybe similar to what Nathie's saying, not necessarily player count. But the people who are playing it are going to kick your ass. That's the only thing I would be worried about.
Especially if you're playing with like Cass and Cherry or Reality Check VR, because they got to the finals of...
they did a tournament, yes.
Yeah, the tournament.
They're going to China.
Oh, yeah, that was for that other game.
Final Assault.
Final Assault, yeah, absolutely. So the next game I would recommend is Form. That's 45% off. $5.99 in British pounds, $7.49 in US dollars. That's a really, really cool puzzle game. It's quite simple, but what they do with the visuals and the way that the puzzles evolve into the next puzzle, I've never seen anything else like it since. It's really stand out. Really
Can we have that one on the Quest, please?
Yeah, that would be a great Quest title, actually.
It's beautiful, and it's short, but for that price, well worth it.
Yeah, and I think Form is actually better than Twilight Path, which was their second puzzle game.
I like that one. It was pretty good, but I don't know.
Or if you've got lots of money to burn, there's the Oculus Originals Premium Pack, which is 103 British pounds, 129 US dollars, and that includes Lone Echo, Brass Tactics, Kronos, Mage's Tale, Arctica 1, Wilson's Heart, The Unspoken, Witchblood, Damaged Core, Defense Grid 2.
Damaged Core.
Yeah, that really shouldn't be in there.
Hey, wait. Not 9.5, nearly masterpiece.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's worth the price on that one. I think it's like Lone Echo, Brass Tactics, Arctica 1, Kronos. They're solid games. Mage's Tale as well is good. But the others, they're kind of old now, and I don't think that really justifies the full.
Well, they have to put a price on it somehow. So by adding these games, they can kind of. So in the chat, Kevin Brooks says that he bought Fisherman's Tale and Catch and Release for what is it, £8?
Yeah,
$7.99.
Yeah, $7.99 each. Yeah, and Fisherman's Tale again, fantastic puzzle game. If you love puzzle games, definitely recommend it. We've also got some titles for Oculus Go. So if you've got a Go out there, prepare yourself.
Some Go love. I love it, Mike. Go on.
Yeah. Virtual Reality, 37% off. One of the best titles on the Go, in my opinion. $4.99 in British pounds, $6.99 in US dollars. Absolute bargain for that game.
Definitely.
Drop Dead, 43% off, which makes it $4.49 in British pounds, $5.99 in US dollars. Again, solid arcade zombie shooter.
But buy it for the single player, not the multiplayer.
Absolutely. Multiplayer, you can't communicate with your friends.
It's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Like, looking at it from the outside, I was like, okay, I was expecting kind of wave shooter, but the single player is pretty good.
It's really great. On rails, but really fun to play. If you like House of the Dead games, you'll enjoy this one.
Yeah, good choice.
Next one is Elevator to the Moon. I really like this game. It's kind of like a funny little puzzle game. 61% off. And that's £1.53 or $2.
It's well worth that.
Wow.
It's well worth that. It's got a lot of fun to it. We had the developer on the show once. He was hilarious.
I can't get his voice out of my head, though. That like mock-up like Arnie voice. It's just like, I can't get it out.
Such a nice guy.
He is a nice guy.
The final one that I'd recommend for Oculus Go is Esper 2. This is made by CoatSync, actually, and again, it was a puzzle game. Really fantastic series, actually, Esper. It's a shame they didn't make another one. And when they were telling me about Shadow Point and I went to visit them, I was really hoping that it was going to be Esper 3 was the game that they were going to announce. But, Shadow Point is a great puzzle game as well, but hopefully they do make another Esper game because I thought it was a really cool series. That's 50% off, $2.99 in British pounds, $3.99 in US dollars.
Wait. There's another game they made. The one where you are a robot, but in disguise.
They Suspect Nothing.
Yes.
Yes.
That one is fun too.
Right.
Yes. Or there is a bundle, and I think this one's better for the Go than it is on the Rift. It's called the Grand Essentials Pack, and that is 35 British pounds or 45 US dollars. That includes virtual reality, Eclipse Edge of Light, Drop Dead, End Space, Wonder, Rush, Ocean Rift, Nature Treks VR, Covert, and Death Horizon.
I would totally buy that for just Eclipse only already.
What was the price?
Eclipse, that was £35.
It's pretty good, but it's a bit of an eclectic bundle. Like, it's the tastes across the bundle are you have to like variety.
Like the standout titles, virtual reality, Eclipse, Drop Dead, and Covert, they're great. Ocean Rift is great for demoing to people. Wonder is perfect for, doing like Google Maps stuff.
Loads of people play Wander a lot on Go because it's basically Google Maps. You can teleport even with other people, and I've met people online playing Wander. So you basically appear in a scene, like, oh, I'm in the middle of Kenya, and you're looking around. Like my wife and I were playing a game where it's like, okay, you can teleport. And then you have to guess where you are based on what you see around you. It's really cool.
That's hilarious.
No, it's really good. Yeah.
So those are the deals. Those are the deals. The very last bit, it's not really quick news, but it's something that we talked about last week, and that was the Vive Cosmos, because we were hoping to get more information this week about release and price, and we don't have those details at all. So
This week was completely silent.
yeah, radio silent from HTC. So if you were looking forward to that information this week, apologies. We're as disappointed as you are, unfortunately.
I don't get that.
Very strange.
It's very strange, where you have 2 weeks of like things going on, then suddenly it stops.
Constantly announcing that there's going to be more stuff next week. There's going to be more stuff next week. And
I don't think they said it last time, but then I'm like, when are you going to? Because now I might forget, and then you have to start over again. You kind of, if you start a hype, then you have to keep, like what Valve did, right? Where they every few weeks they leaked something. Where you constantly
they leaked something.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, then you keep like the ball rolling, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it's like what Flippleside said in the chat, as the HC turntable broke, so they can't like make it.
Yeah, that would be something, right?
But that's a shame because I just want to know
I'm
the
curious.
release price. That's all I need to know now.
Exactly.
I just want to know the tether. That's all I care. I only care about the tether. Like, give me the umbilical cord. I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Right?
Imagine if you can connect it to a phone. That would be so freaking awesome.
A phone would be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that is the end of quick news. Let's pass over to Zim. Find out the releases for this week. What you should, maybe what you shouldn't be playing. I'm intrigued.
Good. All right, gentlemen, I'm going to give you quite a few this week, so stay tuned. Starting off, anyone hear a rumble? I think that's Mike's stomach. I think he might be hungry. So this first game is called I'm Hungry. It's released on PSVR, 3rd of July, so just gone. This game's really interesting to me because I didn't hear anything about it. And as I said, this one's just come out from Winking Skywalker Entertainment Limited. That is a very interesting name.
Wow.
So anyway, looking at the visuals of the game, it looks like a single-player version of VR: The Diner Duo. You start off in a fast food restaurant, one of those like we see them all around the UK. You want to get your brekkie in the morning. You walk up to the front, and they'll give you your coffee and a sandwich roll or something. But it's kind of got this like fun-looking play style. You've got some machines around you. While you're playing the game, you're serving customers who have random orders that come up, and you have to quickly, serve them soft serve ice cream or hamburger or some fries or something. So it's kind of similar to a lot of these other games which have that, but it's got a real kind of cartoony fashion to it, which I like. And I haven't seen this on any other platform. It seems to be a PSVR exclusive. And as you're going, you're earning money in the game, which you can spend on your equipment. So the actual appliances that you've got in the game, you can upgrade those as you're going, and it gives you that kind of feeling of progression. So in addition to that, if you're interested in losing weight, which I know a lot of people are when they're playing VR stuff, you can actually track with a calorie tracker how you're doing that way in the game, which I think is a really smart little feature that the dev decided to include. You're probably not going to burn that many calories.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Visuals.
Yeah.
It looks very good.
It's like Prison Boss, but then with food and stuff like that.
It's Gordon Ramsay Simulator.
Gordon
Hell's
Ramsay
Kitchen.
Simulator, yeah.
Hell's Kitchen on the road.
Hell's Kitchen on the road. They should do a Hell's Kitchen for VR. I would go.
Hell's Kitchen in VR where someone's screaming at you.
Just got Gordon Ramsay abusing you for hours on end. Yeah.
Oh my God.
An idiot sandwich with bread either side of your head, like he does.
That dovetails so exquisitely, Mike. I wish you were like a set piece in the audience, because the next game, which I wanted to mention, which is a re-release, so is what I'm calling a re-release. This is dropping on Quest and Rift, which we've been waiting patiently for, is Accounting Plus. So Accounting Plus is the next one that I wanted to talk to people about, because for those who haven't yet been able to dip in, particularly those who just got a Quest, Accounting Plus is a really interesting game. We've covered it before. It's
We also covered it last week in releases.
You did? You touched it?
Yeah, we did. Okay. We did. But it deserves a reminder because...
So, yeah, it's not very expensive. I mean, it's only £8.99. That's pretty good. Released on the 4th. I won't go into too much detail.
It's got a hidden zoo level that Rowdy spent a lot of time looking for.
Yeah.
I don't know. But the thing I didn't know about that was I didn't know that William Pugh from Stanley Parable had gotten with Justin Roiland and one other to kind of do this up at a game jam. I didn't know this was a result of a game jam from kind of Crazy Minds. And so
that's awesome.
That's a pretty solid game jam then.
Yeah, for sure.
It's tripled in length over time. I mean, a lot of us played it when it was just accounting, not Accounting Plus. And it's a game not to miss. So if you are a Quest owner and you've managed to burn through all that content, don't miss this one. Actually, earlier today, someone was saying that some voice in this reminded them of you, Mike, and I can't remember exactly what. The drunken guys? So there's some drunk guys in the game? I can't remember.
The tree man?
Oh yeah. We just want to mention
I love how Zoom goes like, one of the voices like reminds, is there a drunken guy in this game? Is there a drunken guy?
I don't remember. Well, they said something about a drunken guy. I just can't remember. So
it was totally that little hobbit in the tree.
Probably was. So the third game, for those who were pining for this from the trailer, you'll know what I'm talking about. And there's a certain somebody who's watching who named his dog this Rogan, which is a great name for a dog, and an interesting name for a game. Rogan, the Thief in the Castle, which launched for PSVR, is £29.99, so kind of mid-tier pricing, by Smilegate Entertainment. Launched the 5th, so just a couple of days ago. This is one where you're a thief. There's hiding mechanics. There's a cowl. This is probably one of the most notable things in the game, is that you've got this kind of permanent hood over your head as you're playing, and you run across this damsel in distress. Well, damsel in plate armor in distress in the castle, and your job is to obviously steal gold, create distractions, and just generally be a thief. Now, playing this game, I've got some strong words to say about it.
Wait.
Go on.
Wait. The only thing I want to say, like, when I saw this trailer, I had no idea what this was going on about. Like, the frame rate was like 10 frames per second that they were showing in the trailer. So the first thing I want to hear from you, is the game at least optimized to be played in virtual reality?
It runs fine. It runs fine.
On what? On your specs, you mean?
Yeah. So I'm
on your Intel Core Potato.
I'm a i7 with a 1080. So
okay.
And that's running encoding. I didn't have any problems there. It wasn't performance issues that I had. I had a few issues with this game. Number one, what they don't show you in the trailer is the permanent fecking HUD that looks like they stapled bits of kelp to your skull, and it's stuck out, protruding, and wrapping your head in this funky onion-shaped dome for the entire experience. Now, I hear the devs, other than, apparently making threats to the community, and I'll come to that in a second. This funny HUD edition is apparently going to become an option. That they're going to be able to.
It's apparently now. Yeah. It is apparently an update. It's now removable.
Thank God. So aside from that, the thing that I didn't like about the game looks quite good. The animations are pretty decent. Like, in other words, you meet this kind of hot babe in armor, and she's a nicely animated, talks to you well, like all that kind of stuff. But I kind of feel from that point onward, the game is like you have a rich father who realizes that you're not that smart, and he's like, I'm going to just place bags of money around the castle and for you to find. And it becomes this whole thing of like, you're grabbing gold literally every 5 feet. Like 5 feet on the right, then 5 feet on the left, and then right in front of you. And then, here's a little gold frog trophy. I really don't like games that treat me like a Muppet. So the intro, and I lasted about 25 minutes, and then I bailed because I just couldn't stand a game that, in stark contrast to the Morrigan, which I had just finished playing, was treating me like an infant. And so that is the thing that, for me, says this game is not worth my money. Someone else might appreciate that and not find that such an opposing barrier. Have you guys played this game at all? Anyone?
No, but I do want to try it, and I kind of want this game to succeed as well, because I do think it has potential.
Yeah.
It looks great.
It looks nice, and the concept is great as well, but like when I saw that trailer, I really had the impression like, ooh, like if the trailer looks like this, like, and it was so like I mean, the storyline, I like games with storyline, but it kind of felt like they told the entire story in the trailer already, because it was like a bloody long like storyline trailer.
That's not going to be what you notice. Like, the thing that you're going to notice is things like this, right? You have this game mechanic where you hold your hands up, or hold one hand up, or like this, kind of over your face, right? And then things go black and white, and it's kind of like stealth rogue view, or whatever they call it, thief view, and then it shows you the thing you're supposed to do. So it's kind of like for hints in that. But if you're going to scratch your nose or whatever, it activates this view automatically. So if you just raise your hands ever in the game, this view kicks in, and then that view is kind of like, just point you to the next objective. It can be a door, it can be a soldier lying on the ground. And the game just treats you like such a muppet because you go up and you're like touch this soldier who's dead in a corridor, and it's like, I think there was a really vicious battle here. It's like, I just walked through 4 dead guys. Of course there was, and then it just keeps telling you these things that are completely obvious in the scene, and so there's like 4 or 5 layers of like the game thinks you're a muppet, and it has to tell you that over and over again.
Did any of you ever like played like Thief Deadly Shadows, like any of those kind of games? Because I really want one of those titles in virtual reality.
It's not that.
That would be so epic.
It was. That's what I wanted.
I want Sly Cooper in VR. You know Sly Cooper?
Oh no.
Sly Cooper. It's also a thief game. But anyways, I would say like Smilegate. Where is this development studio from? Because I feel like this is a game that came out of Asia and has been translated in a funny way, and that's why maybe the story also falls flat. I don't know, but it kind of feels like that. Like, I don't know. As Rowdy said, it looks nice, and I do believe this game really has potential. I don't know why, but it's not like they tried to make a bad game. That's what I'm saying. They wanted to legit make a good thievery title.
But it's also not really it's not that Zim is saying it's a bad game. It's just that certain mechanics are not really worked out, and that the kind of hand holding that he's mentioning is something that is like just not really.
Sorry to break the bubble. I am saying it's a bad game. I've given it a straight avoid in my ratings. I think it's not worth the money. It looks way better than it plays, and all the core game mechanics let it down. That's
and like you say, if you're going to buy one out of the 2, buy the Morrigan, right?
Oh, Morrigan is, oh my God. It's a third the price, and it's 10 times the game. Like, oh my God. And it gives you that feeling of like stealthing around a castle and stuff like that. But it's not Thief. I still want Thief. But Thief isn't there. Anyway, the weirdest thing, this is the weirdest thing, and then someone tell me I'm wrong here, right? Because from my information sources, Smilegate has come out with a second game as well this week.
Oh?
Focus on You. Someone research for me.
Oh,
please.
No.
Research for me. This is not the same studio.
I can't play that kind of stuff.
This is not. This is really interesting because it kind of proves that this is either in Japan or China, right? Because we're going to focus on this just for a moment. Smile on You is my next game, which is just launched. Launched the same day, 5th of July, same price, $29.99. Right? You can play it on I think this is actually on PSVR as well as PC. So this game, and it's by Smilegate. I can't believe this. They came out with a Thief game and then this. Let me describe it, right, in the best way I could. I showed my wife the trailer, and this was her reaction. I know audio listeners are like, what kind of game is it? This was her reaction. This is quoting my wife now. It's a make lonely guys feel less lonely game. There's a whole huge genre of this in Japan. Brad, don't you dare quote me. Okay, so so if you haven't met your partner to be, and you are a lonely fella or lady looking for some companionship, this game is a really kind of soft, emotional journey. And the game says like yours is an ordinary life. You're a senior in high school, as you always are in these games for some reason, majoring in photography and working part-time at a cafe. As you progress through the interactive story, this is another VR novel. Sorry, guys. You will get to know Hanyua better and find out more about her aspirations and motivations on this emotional journey. And the weirdest thing, if you watch the entire trailer, there are no other human beings. It's just you and Hua. And that's it.
Perfect. No. It's perfect.
But it's so weird, man. Like, this is weird stuff. And you know what I heard? That this experience got recommended to people too on the Oculus store in the notifications of the app.
But it only got recommended to you if you are indeed a lonely guy.
Facebook, no.
They know. They've got all those cameras in your room.
I'm sure they know.
Watching you.
No, but like the thing is, for me, you know, I think this stuff is maybe in Japan, this is like it's okay and it's in their culture, you know, whatever. But when I see these experiences, I sometimes see like underage girls, and I'm like, this is just not okay. This is not okay. You can't bring this out on the store in the States or Europe.
And that's the kind of impression that I get, like from my impression of what this is, because you take photos of your girlfriend, right? Is that what it's like?
I think
So
so.
it's like a stalker simulator.
But
Basically,
it's okay because she's a photographer.
it's like Pokemon.
Well, that's the thing. What people say, it's okay because it's virtual, but it's not okay.
No, it's not okay.
Okay.
What were you saying? It's like Pokemon Snap or something?
It's like Pokemon Snap for waifus.
But the worst part, and this is the thing I have to underline, right? Focus on You has better reviews on Oculus Home than Rogan.
So what you're saying is I should try Focus on You and not Rogan.
Exactly what
Rowdy,
I'm saying.
please play the game, make a video. You can tell us all about it next week.
Okay.
But no, I agree with Nathie. Like some of these things, just they're not right. Like it's like the B haptics like touch you experience. It's just weird. Like having.
By the way, wait. Like you're also negative on this game, but I've seen you and Mike and Nathie both have 7 hours of playtime on this game.
7 hours. 7 hours.
Same
7 hours.
Podcast.
Yeah.
7 hours.
It's just not right, you know, when it's like a schoolgirl depicted. And I know like it's a huge thing in Japan and anime and hentai and all that kind of stuff, but it is weird when that is brought over to a Western audience.
Now, you know what?
Understand that.
You know what blows my mind? Oculus is now denying certain developers for example, Logo Dojo or To The Top are getting denied, but this is just fine. This can just be on the store. Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a lot of lonely guys working on Oculus.
So Chad are asking me, and I did mention. So apparently, Smilegate, particularly on Rogan, have a legal notice or something like this at the beginning of the game, which basically tells people who are broadcasting the game not to go past level 7, otherwise they'll sue you. And so stuff like this, it's really odd to have that from a studio, especially when you're launching on a major platform. Like I don't know how that got through.
Wait, what level 7? What are you talking about?
So this is on Rogan apparently. This is, and you can see it in the comments on Oculus Home, for instance, in the reviews. One of the highest rated comments is like, developers, please don't threaten users of your game. It's just odd.
Wait, so you're playing the game and then suddenly you get this live NDA?
I think it's when you launch the game. I missed it because I usually am fanning about at the start of the game, so I didn't even see it.
What if you denied an NDA?
But you can't play the game.
But I wish I had more facts for you.
It's if you live stream the game, right? So only a select few users are going to actually be doing that. But yeah, I totally agree. It's not right.
It just doesn't make sense for them to.
No, it doesn't.
So live streaming this game is not okay because of spoilers, but recording it is just fine. But that's the same story in the end.
That's weird.
None of it's an NDA.
I've never heard this before. Although sometimes developers, they send you a key and it's like, listen, we want you to only play the first 2-3 levels. Fine. But then the game is out. Then you can't tell people anymore to not.
Here we go.
It's
we
worse
got
than
it in
that.
chat.
It's worse than that. It happens when Chapter 7 starts. So what? That's ridiculous. Like,
what about
what then?
Okay, so spoilers ahead. What happens in that chapter then? Why is it so important that you suddenly are not allowed to talk about it anymore?
Yeah, I don't want spoilers.
That's true. I did not sign it, so we can just talk about it. Did anyone play this chapter? I would love to know in the chat, seriously, though.
Well, you know what's going to happen next. Anyway, look, we're going all down this giant hole.
Yeah, sorry,
and I can see Mike going like
so juicy.
It's your fault, Zim.
It is my fault. I know. I'm the spewer of these tales, but I have to finish off my set. Otherwise,
Yeah.
How are we gonna ever finish this show? Right. So the last 3 little short bits I want to tell you about releases. So you guys probably covered this last week. Maybe you didn't. PSVR has gotten a crafted version of Sairento, and that is $34.99. Which, for those who've played it, maybe feels a little bit steep. But I think looking at the trailer of this, I haven't had an opportunity to play it there. I played it on Quest, and Quest was quite a different offering to what it was on Rift. But I have to say that for Mixed Realms, what they've done with this, in terms of this, for those who don't know what Sairento is, it's kind of a visually stunning, bullet-timed sword and gun slinging action game. And to have this drop on PSVR, I think is pretty cool to have a badass, slow-mo game like that drop on that platform. With that audience, I think this is going to do pretty well, even at a high price like 35 quid, which I think is a bit high. I would take tenner off that, actually, if I was the studio. But, what do you guys think about this? I mean, this is another totally different branch to one of the pre-existing games that we've all liked.
Yeah, so we mentioned that Sairento was launching on Quest last week, because that was launching on Quest as well. But like Rowdy, said that Sairento is a quality title, a lot of fun if you want to, swing a sword around, then pull out a gun, and then slide along the floor, and then sort of recreate some like epic ninja moves. It's a great title, so the one that we'd recommend.
And definitely welcome too, because I feel like right now the Quest store isn't getting that many games. It's a bit slow at the moment, so having this is great news.
But this is a PSVR launch of it.
PSVR launch. Well, exactly. I remember hearing about the Quest launch, and I didn't hear about this, and it launched a couple of days later, and it was like, well, this is pretty cool. Sairento is a great game. Some people in chat are saying, so Salsa Ketchup says, it works so well on PSVR. I'm really curious because it tends to be a bit of a 360 spinner game, so I wonder if that's anyway. So just two little bits. I won't run any more trailers. We've got 2 games launching on the 11th of July next week, Defector and Fugl. Fugl is an interesting game, Fugl, and that's a kind of like it's not a game as much as it is a fly around as a bird in a voxel terrain game. And I do recommend, if you're into kind of the more chilled out type of experiences, you check that out. Fugl is Fugl. And then Defector, of course, high action, high octane. Talk more about that, I suppose, next week as well.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Defector, actually. But yeah, I played Fugl as well. I thought it was pronounced Fugl because it's Fugl.
Like a drink,
like fuel.
Fuel.
Yeah, I know the developers. I've had drinks with them a few times. Because I've seen them
pronounce Fugl because isn't it like a Swiss or something for a bird?
I was told explicitly it's not Fugl.
Fool.
Well,
can Fugl please?
Like the variable,
Yeah, I played it at what was the one in London? Rezzed. I played it at EGX Rezzed, and I played it in VR, and it was pretty cool. Like you say, it's more of like a zen, chill out experience than a game. You know?
But it's nice, and actually, it's one that like my kids want to go back to because it's just like fly about, and you turn into animals as you fly around, so you can kind of collect the animals around the different environments as you fly, and it's procedurally generated, so the maps aren't like set maps.
It's Norwegian. That's what it is. Norwegian. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Fugl.
I think it's Fugl.
Fugl.
There you go. Mike,
there we go.
That's it for our releases. A really short set, and I did run a trailer, so fucking shoot me. There you go.
Yeah, we'll be talking more about Defector next week for sure, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But let's get into the main topics then, because we're running a bit anyway. But the first bit is about Valve releasing the CAD files for the Index. So if you've just picked up an Index and you enjoy tinkering with things, maybe you've got like a 3D printer, or you enjoy CAD design, or maybe you just want to develop accessories for the Index, well, you'll be happy to hear that all the CAD files are available for download for free of the headset, the controllers, and the base stations. We've put a link in the description down below to GitHub where you can download all the files yourself. And this is just great for those that want to make accessories like VR covers, for example, or controller grip mods, also maybe like some frunk LEDs. That's the kind of thing that I want to see. Any sort of accessories that you guys would like to see?
I want some fans. I want some fans for the frunk that come down and like just help me cool down.
Oh, you want like a Vive and chill for the frunk?
Hell yeah.
Cool. What about you, Nathie? Any accessories you'd like to see on the Index?
Wireless adapter.
yeah, okay.
Although maybe not for recording, but in general, it's nice to play wireless.
Yeah, and that's something that we've said before, actually.
But
using the
higher specs comes big responsibility, because this is a different story than the Vive Pro and the Vive.
Agreed. Yeah, especially with the refresh rates, for sure.
Oh, my days, yes.
But certainly from my perspective, I'd like to see some of those LEDs with like lights that kind of blink occasionally, or say if you tilted the headset one way, it would kind of wink or something like that. That would be really cool, especially for making videos.
Oh my God, Astrobot! Get Astrobot eyes in the frunk.
Yeah, that would be awesome,
sweet.
Right? Yeah. But yeah, we just thought, because we have developers and some people that make accessories for VR headsets sometimes watch or listen to the show, you may be interested in this. So we've put a link to it in the description down below. But if you do make anything, we'll take a 5% cut.
Nice.
I love how serious you were when you said that, and just was like about to go.
That's my point. Yeah, I'm laughing because it's actually 7%.
Exactly. So that is the CAD files for the Valve Index. Very cool that Valve just released those so you can make accessories for it. I think that's a cool little touch from them. But let's get into the juicy topic, and that is about the index controllers, because this has been a hot topic this week on the Valve Index subreddit. If you're not familiar with the news, basically people started getting their indexes shipped on around the sort of 28th of June. Over the last sort of couple of weeks, people have been using them and finding out little quirks of the system. And what they've discovered is that the thumbsticks on these index controllers, just like any other gamepad, you would expect them to click in, right? Which they do when they're centered. So you can click the thumbstick in, and that's another input in game. So like every decent controller of the last sort of, decade has this function. But also they have the function that you could tilt it in any direction and still click it in, and it would work. So it's like on the Xbox controller, PlayStation, on the touch. Oculus touch controllers. Exactly, for good reason, because it's a nice reassurance that you've actually pressed the button. And it's got a function in game as well, particularly in first-person shooters like, Contractors is a great example. You tilt the thumbstick forward and you press it in when you want to sprint, right?
Yeah.
Use it the entire time.
Yeah, you literally do.
Pavlov, Onward, all of them.
Yeah. So the issue with the index controllers is that, in my experience, on my index controllers, on the left controller, the thumbstick clicks in when it's centered, and it will go in, it will click in on the left and right position, but it won't click in when it's in the up and down position. And then on the right controller, it's the other way around. It will click in when it's centered, and it will click in when it's up and down, but not left and right.
That tells me that assembly-wise, they would have assembled the little mechanism in different orientations, and that's really annoying.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if this is the same deal with you, Nathie.
Yeah, so my left controller is fine. It clicks all directions, but my right one only clicks to the top, to the bottom, and left and right are completely stuck.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So this is something that the community is understandably really upset about, because we've all spent a lot of money on these devices. Some of us sinking up to like £1,000 or $1,000 on these devices, and then when you get them and they've kind of got these kind of issues with them, it takes the shine off the whole experience. And the thing is, like, it's not that it doesn't work. It's not like the input doesn't work, because the input does work. It's just that the click isn't there, like the reassuring click isn't there. So I tested this out today, and, even when you don't feel the click, it is recognizing there is an input there. So it does work, but you don't get the click. And this is the thing. Obviously, people are upset about this, rightly so, I understand. They got in contact with Valve support and started submitting like support tickets and saying, look, my controllers are faulty. They don't have this click in all the directions. And this is where things kind of got interesting and where people got even more upset. And this is because Valve responded to a number of these submitted tickets stating what's described sounds like the expected performance for the index controller. So Valve are saying, well, bullshit. It works. This is what we expected with this controller. This is what you get. And they also said that, although the thumbstick should actuate when tilted in any direction, this may not produce the click noise in all directions. So that
doesn't explain why it's different for two controllers.
This is the thing. Like, it's almost different for everyone. On like looking through the index subreddit, people are talking about their experience with this. Like like mine and Nathie's experiences are different. It's the same with everyone else. Some controllers are working, some aren't. Even the second wave of shipments have the same problem. Now, a few daring people from the Reddit Valve Index Reddit community have managed to sort of solve the issue and sort of say this is the problem. They've dismantled their controllers, which is very brave of them. I wouldn't want to do it, and I like tinkering with stuff because it looks very fragile and complicated inside.
You must void the warranty doing that, don't you?
You do void the warranty, and if you do break it, then Valve have also said that they won't accept any returns that have been tampered with. Not that they're accepting any anyway, but if it does go any further, so it's kind of getting a bit bleak. But what people have done is that there's a little metal rod that the controller tip slides onto, which is part of the switch. Now, that if you can extend that by like 2 or 3 millimeters, it extends the controller thumbstick enough that it can freely click and be tilted in any direction. So it is like a design fault. You know, if they extended that tip a little bit further, then you wouldn't have this issue. But the problem is that Valve aren't, addressing it as a problem or a fault with the controller, and they're certainly not right now saying that they're going to accept any returns or warranty claims on this fault, which is a bit shitty, really, especially from such a huge company.
That's a hard. The difference between this and, like, say, the Oculus Sound issue is because it's hardware related, because it potentially means recalls, or remember when, like, the Wii came out and all of a sudden kids were bashing TVs left and right? They had to take a board level decision to say, we're going to ship out the Wii DOMs, the kind of plastic wrapper for the Wii controller out. Yeah. And those took 5 months or something for them to manufacture or ship. They were doing it for free, but, like, before you make that decision, there's a lot of meetings that have to happen. So I can understand that we haven't got an official position on this, but it really sucks. I didn't even pay for an index, but I can see why people would be really quite upset about the inconsistency.
Yeah, it's obvious that they first tried to avoid, RMAs, but like almost every company tries that in the first place, I think, because it's costing so much money to, almost everyone has to send it back, and they have to get new ones, and then in the meanwhile they can't play.
Who's going to do that? Who's going to take the time out to actually send their device back, though, for that, right?
Well, honestly, I'm going to send them back because you spend so much money on this. And then my controller is just not clicking in a way.
Because there's a lot of people that want to play VR right now. They've waited for this headset. They don't have
that's true.
Back on, so they're not going to wait. And the thing is, like, if the people who still want to buy the Knuckle controllers right now, the Valve Index controllers now, I would say to them, wait for this to get resolved, because there's probably going to be a reiteration of the headset like they did with your original Oculus Rift as well. Like, the controllers changed a bit, the headset changed a bit. There's probably going to become like a next iteration of this as well. These guys are also getting, like, taken out. So if you really want these controllers, you haven't ordered them yet, like, I would say wait for it now up until they come with that version 2.
Exactly.
So something else that I noticed on Reddit is that, and of course, a controller should, be able to survive a certain impact. But there were people that hit it against the wall, and I think that controllers are not made to survive that, but usually a little, slam shoot. But I've seen people where their controllers were completely messed up, or where they pressed the B or A button so much that they just popped out or something. So I'm really, like, seriously questioning the quality of these controllers. I do enjoy them. They feel solid, like the material is super nice. But then, when I hear all these stories about the thumbsticks, or people, like, it's rare to see people really, destroying the trigger, or, I mean, it's dumb to slam your controller to a wall. I'm just going to be honest here. But
the trigger itself is popping off for people. The actual trigger is showing. Yeah.
I heard.
But I would agree with your comment on the materials, just because I commented about this earlier. The denim hand cover, the kind of denim fabric, and the actual controller plastic itself is good. Yeah. I think the buttons, different material, and that build quality is. I can see why you would consider shipping it back. But God, I'm thinking of all the. They must have to cover the charge for taking that massive box back.
Well, if they want to go that way, then yes. But I don't know what they want to do then. Maybe they're like, well, you have to send everything back. But I'm like, I'm not gonna send the headset away.
Did you get the whole package, or did you just get? You got the big box, right?
I bought everything. So would that mean that I have to send everything back, or can I just
buy it in one package? Because if you bought it in one package, if the RMA, I think they would take the entire package.
That's what I'm saying.
That's ridiculous.
You'd have to take the whole thing back.
But on the other side, if like, what can I do with my Index if I don't have any controllers? So then, of course, I have Vive one, so I could still, but most people just have only Index controllers. But for me, there was another issue, because if you hear this.
Oh, the squeak. The squidgy squeak.
Does yours click when you go all the way in, though? Yeah, that's what I don't like. I don't like the click.
I do like, that's very satisfying, though. But I do have this squeaking. Now, squeaking, I would not send them back for the squeaking, but I'm like, my controllers have been out of the box for 2 days, and then they start to squeak. I mean, come on. I just want to have controllers that last longer than that. Seriously.
Yeah, for me, I'm just a bit disappointed. I know it's not the end of the world. I know that they still work, but it's just the thing is, these controllers have been in the hands of developers for 3 years. I feel, and I know that the thumbstick was a late addition to the controller, so I don't blame anyone else for not picking this up sooner. It's just one of those things that's happened, but it needs to be addressed, and I hope that Valve are going to address it, like you say, and deal with it appropriately, rather than just saying, you know what, this is how it's going to be, deal with it, because that's a really shitty way to treat your customers, especially the first adopters of your brand new hardware.
Should be a shadow patch, really, is what they need to do for this, which is basically change your manufacturing that slight bit, extend that pin that little bit, just sort it in the batches that are made from here on in. It's kind of like what they did with the PSVR version 2 revision, where they just addressed some of their kind of design flaws. And they might actually want to wait a little bit longer to see if there's anything else that's failing.
I think they're going to do that, but are they going to reship all those headsets?
I don't think they want to do that. I don't think they want to do that, but
no.
So what I do want to say is that I'm sure they're going to resolve this. I do think Valve is going to do that. And what is important in this case is also when you have a certain batch that is going to get sent out there, you open a couple of these boxes, you see what the thumbsticks are doing. If there is almost no control that has that issue, then start sending them away. That's what Pimax did, where Pimax first had all these issues, then they started to test every batch, just a little bit of that batch, and see hey, what's going on? And if there was enough success, then they would send them away. And I think with this, that would also be smart to do. But of course, I don't need to tell Valve what to do here. I'm sure they know.
But what I would say is, as a warning for everyone out there, if you have just bought a Valve Index, for God's sake, don't try and fix it yourself, because
No.
I've already seen people suggesting quick fix issue solutions on the Reddit, and then people, as a result of trying to implement that quick fix, have then broken the controller completely. Because what you don't know is, under that thumbstick is a really small ribbon cable, and basically that leads to the capacitive touch sensor on top of the thumbstick. So you'll notice when you use them, when you rest your thumb on the thumbstick, it registers in game as an input, just resting it on there. So if you pull the thumbstick out and you break that cable, you are well and truly screwed, and you will not get a return if Valve do decide to RMA all these.
You got to be a tinkerer. I mean, I know, Mike, you're a tinkerer, but you really got to know what you're doing if you're going to mess around with consumer electronics that are at that small scale.
Yeah, but it's also so expensive. Why put that on the risk? That's such a stupid thing to do.
You have warranty on these kind of devices. If something is indeed not working properly, then that just falls on the warranty. If it's an industry error, of course. Yeah,
but of course, like I said, it is just a click. But it's kind of like when you pay a premium price, you want the premium quality product. If you bought something from Apple and it wasn't quite right, rightly so, you should be upset about it, because you're paying that premium for that product. So I do understand it.
We talked about this before, premium price. It is a high price point, but I'm still thinking that this is not that they're making a lot of profit on these kind of headsets. It's because Oculus Rift is underselling all of these kind of headsets at such a cheap price that it seems like a premium price point. But you can clearly see on the controllers, you can see on parts of the headset probably as well, that they try to save cost in certain areas. It's not premium build quality overall around.
I would disagree there. I would say that the headset does feel like a premium product. I think it's well built, and I think same with the base stations and the controllers. I do think they're well built, but it's just a shame that it's like any early day of any headset, though. When the Pimax first came out, that had issues. When the Rift first came out, it's got issues. Rift S had issues as well. We all know about. It's just
in the buttons, and I also see when the guy who posted a video on Twitter where he took everything apart. The plastic itself, it's also not the high grade plastic that we're used to from seeing on controllers, though. So I do think that
on the
buttons cost, and they tried to save on increasing the weight of these kind of devices, because weight is an important thing in virtual reality as well. So I do think certain with every other headset as well, certain compromises are being made in certain areas that maybe some people would not like to see them. I think that
there's a recommendation I wanted to give here, because just for people who are F5ing and getting ready to buy the Index, same thing is true for RMA options. So what companies typically will do is they'll set a set of stock aside And if necessary, if there becomes a wave of problems with hardware equipment and people are returning them, firstly, you want to be one of the first in the queue there. So get your support ticket open, go and report it. If you're intending to return it, start that process now. Don't delay, because people who do delay, because they're like, I might do it next week. Let me see how this week goes. You don't want to be, 3 months worth of queue behind that. The second thing is, if you're one of the orders who was committed, let's say, August or September delivery time frame, if the situation was to get bad enough, they probably would eat into that manufacturing cycle and your dates might get bumped back. That's why you would care about this as well.
Yeah, good point. But one thing about you said about controllers being destroyed, it's just one of those things. Like, although the Rift controllers, the original Rift controllers, were pretty robust, and they took a good few hits on the wall. And I used my original controllers for like 2 years, but hopefully I get the same lifespan out of these. We'll only know about the proper durability in a year or two's time once we've had more time with the device.
Yeah. Do you think that should be, like, in general, a feature of a controller to be able to survive impacts? Because on one side, I would say you're just dumb to slam your hand against a wall. And of course, the touch ones are made for the consumer, and they know what consumers do. But since this is more like expert level, they maybe expect you to not do that stuff anymore. So on one side, I do agree it should be able to survive a certain impact. And I think that if I demo a VR to people, I'm not going to use the Index, because I really want my controllers to be fine. I trust them more with a touch or maybe the Vive ones. But do you think that should be a standard in this case, because it's high end? It's that high end.
Even more so, I think that is important, because you pay more money for it. Then it should indeed be like more protected as well. I mean, we've all like smashed up controllers probably, and I consider us to be fairly expert VR users. So I do think that if you pay so much money for a device, you put something over your eyes. You don't see your environment. Yeah, you have chaperone and all of that, but even with that, if you get into a game or you're doing something and you slam outside, you will hit a wall eventually. It happens to all of us, no matter how experienced you are in virtual reality. Or you need to have a giant room in which you can play a chaperone like
I wonder to what extent they do that testing, because there's a lot of consumer grade products that they do that, of course, and I'm really curious how extensive is their
look at this design. This is not built to survive an impact. Like this part.
Why do you say that?
You can, like, it has like the Valve Index controllers are not that, thick in terms of like material all around. It's nice material, but it's not as strong as. Well, maybe the touch controller has a different build to it, but I don't know. This is a good question though. Like, should it be the standard or not? Yeah. Because in one way, I totally agree with Rowdy. You will always hit a wall at some point. But with these, you're going to have a risk for sure. I don't. You might be lucky, but if you really, really use some force, you can destroy these. But it's the same with the mixed reality controllers. Those ones snap in half with a light touch.
And you've broken a Vive wand as well before. In the wall.
Well, like holy. There's like a brick that you're holding in your hands.
Yeah. But it's just, I think overall, like, just this click issue, it's just disappointing. I think it takes the shine off buying this new headset for everyone. Hopefully we get an official response from Valve, and it'll be interesting to see what they do about it, that's for sure. But let's hope they just don't sweep it under the carpet and just ignore it.
Nah, they will not, and they can't either.
That would be really disappointing.
Diamond controllers, fully made out of diamond.
So let us know what you think in the chat, and also if you've got any questions for us, now's a good time to ask any questions about us, the show, or any of the topics that we've discussed this week, just while I remind you about the show times. So just a reminder, it's a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show, live streamed every Saturday on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. You can tune into the show live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, and 12 midday in Central US. You can also check out the audio version, which is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and on Anchor. And we do some extra work on the audio version to make it sound beautiful for your ears. So it's a great way to enjoy the show if you haven't already. There you go.
Okay, so Voodoo says in the chat, I'm totally looking forward to the Pimax Swords controllers. I like them more than the Index controllers, and I hope they will have better quality than the Pimax headsets.
That's a fair point.
And I do think more controllers that are similar to the Valve Index ones are welcome.
Well, you can mix and match, right? because they're both on the same system.
They are very similar, yes. And
like third parties like entering like into that controller scene and like making third-party controllers.
Yeah, because besides all these issues these controllers might have at the moment, it's honestly, for me personally, hard to get back to other controllers because it's just nice to have a hands-free experience.
So I'm the opposite.
I do appreciate.
I am the complete opposite because, like, when you're even adjusting the dial to bring the lenses in, your hand is full with an equivalent of like a small banana, and you're like trying to, get. I had to switch my hand around to kind of do the dial in, and then similarly, if you're trying to go grab a cup of something or a mug, like your hand space is gone, and you can't do that in the middle of the. So I found them actually very awkward. Not only the kind of hand clampy bit, but I didn't like them. I would actually be like Voodoo was saying. I'd be going for maybe a different set of controllers with the Index.
So what I found with the Quest and the Rift S is that I do like that hands-free design. So I would recommend like the Mammoth grips for both the Quest and Rift S. I bought 2 sets of these now, and I think they're really cool, especially if you play Beat Saber a lot. This is a great little accessory. It just is like a little cup at the bottom and then some like almost Mammoth branded shoelaces, and it basically just straps it to your hand like an Index controller. But it feels very nice. So hopefully, like you say, this
Mike. So they come like that. That's not like a mod you made. So those straps, including the silicone placement. So you can just buy it straight like that.
I think you can even make that. I mean, these shoelaces, you could also just.
I've seen mods. That's why I was asking. But like, I'd love a product that I could just buy and it would show up and I could do that. How much was that, Mike?
I think they're about £20 each for a pair, so not too bad. I've bought 2 sets now, one for the Quest, one for the Rift S, because I like them so much. I paid for these products. I'm not endorsed by Mammoth in any way, but I just really like their product. Maybe they can sponsor the show.
Future sponsor.
But if you've got any questions, now's a great time. So what people say.
Cool.
Yeah, we see some mixed reactions about the Knuckles indeed. And also interest in the sword controllers.
And I know that the community definitely are divided in terms of the Index. There's some people that are disappointed, some people are happy, but it's like that with every headset release. It's the same with the Rift S as well. There was an overwhelming negative response on release, whereas now it does seem to be a shift now. A lot more people are embracing the Rift S.
Although the nice part about this launch is that you don't have to buy the headset. You can buy the controllers only. If you don't like the controllers, you can buy the headset. And we haven't seen many headsets before where you can just decide what you want to buy. You can go for the bundle, but you're never going to be stuck with the Valve Index controllers if you don't want to. You can also just go for the headset only. So
there's a question here, actually, and I think Sorry, Mike, did you want to go first?
Just one thing I just wanted to say was that a lot of people asked me this week as well if they can use the Index controllers with the Rift. I'd recommend you go and check out Cass and Cherry's video guide. They go through everything what you need to do to pull that off, but just be warned that you still need base station tracking to use those controllers with a Rift. So just
a lot of dedication right there already. A
lot of dedication, yeah.
Yeah. So Jeremy Fasola says, do you think a CV1 owner, so the original Rift, should buy the Index, or is it not worth it and wait for the next iteration of VR headsets?
Such a difficult question.
I love this question.
That depends on you as a person. If you are a VR enthusiast or a consumer, if you are, again, buying this for the hardware, or are you more about the content? If you're more about the content, then I would wait and not buy it and see what the lineup is going to be. If you buy it for the hardware only, then, well, yeah, I guess.
And also, don't forget that you're moving platforms. You're going from Oculus.
That's why I said content. That's why I said content. If you
play a lot of that kind of content on Oculus, you're going to have to be doing some extra efforts in order to get access to that content, and it will not always be as well supported.
So what would you guys do personally? If you were in this position, all you've got is a CV1, what are you buying? Or are you waiting?
Yeah, but I would wait. And I'll tell you why. Because, like, obviously I bought it. I've got a VR channel. I need to buy these things to show off and test these things out. So that's like my job. But if I was just not doing this, then I would wait and I'd still stick with the CV1 or maybe consider the Rift S maybe. But I would really wait till September to see what Oculus's plan is, because there's going to be another Oculus Connect and they're going to tell us what's going to happen next. So I would maybe wait for that. If you're in a rush, then maybe get the Index if you've got the money to burn.
So you're saying that at Oculus Connect they might announce another headset?
I think we'll know more about what's
not going to
happening
land this
next.
year, though.
Then if that's true, then why did the Rift S drop in the first place?
I think they needed something for a stopgap in between. I knew that the index was coming, but I don't think whatever they announced won't be coming imminently. I think it'll be coming like this time, maybe next year, or maybe.
Yeah, but that's a big gap. I mean, people who own a CV1 for so long now. To wait another year, that's long.
You're still getting the same games, same experiences. It's not like
that is true,
you can't play them.
I'm going to give a recommendation
that might
from
give
my
up
corner.
on you.
Okay, so recommendation from my corner is sell your CV1 for 150 quid or something. Undercut the price of a Rift S. Buy that. Because right now, for the price that you're going to pay, well, again, that balance would be what, 250 quid? Well worth it. The upgrade is great. The sweet spot's better. It's just a great daily driver. Spending $1,000 for the headset, and again, from my position with the Index, really cool headset. I need to see it mature, and with some of the teething issues that we're having, like, at the moment, like for 250 quid, that's the way to go. You know?
Yeah, I think so too. I think I would sell indeed my Rift CV1 and then go for the Rift S, just because. I mean, I'm a content guy. I like the content. The content I'll be playing is the same content. The Rift S is not a new headset. It's the next iteration of the Oculus Rift. That's why they call it the Oculus Rift S. They even said it on their stream themselves. Yeah. This is an update that is a little bit overdue. And they should have released this headset even earlier. It's not the next Oculus Rift. We've all said that before. I still want to see a new headset coming out. Sure. And I watched Nightfire's stream as well. On he got a Valve Index as well. And I kind of agree with what he said, is that the Valve Index is indeed, it's the next step, but it's a very small step forward. It's not the next generation headset that everyone wants to have. Like, it is an improvement, but again, it's not like the improvement that everyone kind of like really, really wants. It's not that, and I still think that the next improvement comes with content. You know, you want to see that new kind of content, and that a hardware that is that.
Can I put numbers on that? So Rift S to me is 1.5, VR 1.5, and Index to me is VR 1.8. Like, I think engineering-wise, it's getting close, but it's not enough of a complete package to be 2.0.
The thing is, Rift S and the Valve Index both need content right now, because there's almost nothing unique to play on these headsets. And I think that's the problem. Although, again, if we see developers making good use out of these Valve Index controllers, like the interaction you can have in the Aperture Hand Labs, and I know it's hard for a dev to do that because it requires a lot of time. It actually requires writing this finger tracking into your script of your game that becomes a part of the gameplay, of the story, etc. Because otherwise, it might not take off. And I don't know if that's going to happen.
It's too much of a risk. It's too much of a risk. Like, if you're a dev, why would you target such a small, narrow audience with just like all those dev hours?
I'd go for PlayStation, and then I have to work with the Move controllers. There's 5 million headsets out there.
Zero fingers.
There we go. We've all got a different recommendation. I say wait. Zim says get a Rift S. Rowdy says get a PSVR. Nathie just says blow your money, get an Index, but you need everything.
No, like blow your money on a headset that has actual freaking content. And the Rift S and the Valve Index are lacking content right now. Both of them, new content, upcoming content.
Get the Quest.
So there you go. I hope that clears that up for you.
Get the 3D head, people. 3D head is where it's at.
The problem is, like we've said before, there is no perfect headset that ticks all the boxes right now. And like you say, content is what is badly needed. But hopefully, hear more about that soon. But that is enough for now. We've gone on for 2 hours. This was supposed to be a casual, chilled out, quick episode.
I told you, Mike. I told you. I warned you up front. You didn't want to listen.
We trigger each other. That's what happens.
It's been a good show, lads.
Yeah, hope you all have a great week in VR. We'll obviously be back next week. Hopefully we'll have some more news. We're going to play Defector this week, so we'll have some news about that as well. So yeah, until then, take care.
And also slam a like on this stream.
Do that as well. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.